Welcome back to the Be a Light podcast. It's your boy K.Sloan here with my dog
J.Jones.
J.Jones.
Oh,
Another one. Hey, but we have two special guests today. This is the educators, parents of students edition. You guys, we care about y'all so much. Y'all working so hard. So we brought y'all a special version of the Be a Light podcast, and we're gonna let them introduce themselves. So we'll go ahead and let Dr. Reyna, we'll start with you, and then work to you, Michelle.
Hi, so my name is Dr. Angela Reyna, and I'm currently the principal at Parkland Pre-Engineering Middle School in Northeast El Paso. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I am Michelle Sandoval-Villegas. I am an educator, teacher here in the heart of the Northeast, Parkland Pre-Engineering Middle School. I teach 7th grade advanced math and leadership. I was also the 2020 Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year, and I am also the 2021 NEA Teaching for Excellence awardee for the state of Texas. So I'm really proud to be here, proud to represent Northeast El Paso and Isleta Independent School District.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was about to get into that, but she already went ahead and laid it out for y'all. So y'all go ahead and feel that. Let that soak in. This is distinguished right here. And Jay Jones, how you feel today?
I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of because Dr. Ray didn't even say nothing about what she
I
got
know. Yeah.
going
What
there.
about you? Yeah. She.
But how you feel though?
I'm always good. I'm happy.
That's what
I'm
I'm talking about. That's my
Hey,
dog.
I'm
Even
always happy.
Cal-
Positive. Blessed.
We're alive, so we're blessed.
Yes.
Blessed.
after this year we had, that's a blessing to be able to be alive and be here and well. And then just to kind of piggyback off of what Miss Sandoval was saying, Dr. Reyna is the middle school principal of the year for the region, right? Right. And then she almost right. You was a finalist for principal of the state, like principal of the year for the state. So I mean, you guys are rocking it. Like you guys are rocking it for real. And we got some topics we can go ahead and dive into. But before we get into that, I'd like you guys to give a brief introduction. I mean, I guess kind of because when you're talking about you guys and what y'all have done, how did y'all feel like y'all got to the point where you're at today? You know, talking about the development of, where you guys have come from and what's influenced you to become the people you are because you guys are role models. I mean, you guys are representations of things that our kids would aspire to be. I mean, so I just want to kind of get a background on like, what kind of has filled you guys and your values and, how'd you get here? So Miss Sandoval, if we could start with you, how did you get to this point?
So I was born and raised here in Northeast El Paso, and my first grade teacher, her name was Mrs. Chavez, and I really have dedicated all my accolades and everything to her because she was a first grade teacher here at Parkland Elementary School. She was a first year teacher, and I was going through a lot of hardships during my elementary years. My father was very ill, had open heart surgery, and being told at a very young age that your father may not make it was completely crushing. I mean, and that's something that now, being an educator, I understand children are going through so many adversities, many things that I went through as a child, but the number one thing that Mrs. Chavez always did was she said, "How are you doing?" That was her first question. As soon as my 7-year-old self walked in her doors, she would hug us. She would say, "How are we doing?" She was more than just a teacher to me. She was somebody who not only cared for me emotionally, but she also cared for my family. And I kept in touch with her throughout all of my grade school years, invited her to high school graduation. I went through the Parkland Learning Community, elementary school, middle school, high school. My senior year of high school, I vowed at that time, I was an Isleta Education Foundation scholarship winner. And I vowed and promised at that time that I would come back into my community and I would teach in my same neighborhood. And so I graduated from Parkland High School as a valedictorian. So I was number one in my class. I was handed an abundance of full ride scholarships to any Texas university. And I chose to stay at UTEP because I said, no, I need to stay in my community. I need to grow my own roots in my own community. And I want to teach those kids that are there because they deserve it. And so I had to wait 3 years until I got my first teaching job. I graduated during the Texas hiring freeze for 3 years. I almost thought I was going to end up becoming a nurse at that time. But thankfully, God doesn't make mistakes. And I actually started teaching 3rd grade for 10 years, almost 10 years at Mesita Elementary. And so that was on the west side of town, tier 1 school, wonderful school, very affluent parents. Both parents graduated college. We're talking about students having, money and being able to provide for themselves, those families. And about year 9, year 10, I said, I was yearning for something more, a little bit more. I was so happy to be at that campus, but I knew in my heart that I wanted to go back to Northeast. So my old principal, which was the former principal at Parkland Middle School, Mr. Salgado, I want to say that he was scouting me for about 3 years until I was a good fit in the puzzle. I was actually interviewed by Dr. Reyna herself and some of the math team there at Parkland Middle School. And at first, Dr. Reyna seemed very scary in my interview. She has like that look, she has that principal look that's like puts you on your toes.
I can see it. I can see it.
But I was so honored to come back into my community because I really, truly inspire my students that if I can do it, they can do it. And everything that I do, as like you said in your mission statement, is authentic, is real, is raw. I tell them the truth and I tell them my truth. And I really build those relationships. And, I take those students that have hard backgrounds and say, I want to drop out when I'm a freshman. And I make them change their mind because I say, you are worthy, you are worth it. And I just feel like I'm at home because this is my alma mater. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. And now that my students see that I've been so successful, that's my prerogative is if I can do it, so can they. And I want to continue to build up our campus because like Dr. Reyna has said before, usually when people say, well, where do you teach? I say, I teach at Parkland Middle School. And they go, okay, why? And I said, because I love it. That's where I'm from. And I'm proud to be from the Northeast. So that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm teaching. And I'm super proud of what I'm doing. And I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm so glad that I was led into this path and that Dr. Reyna and Mr. Salgado gave me a chance to be at Parkland Middle School. Now they call me and Dr. Reyna the dynamic duo. So we are definitely that force to be reckoned with. And
Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah,
Kobe and Shaq.
Exactly. Well, she would like to be Jordan. Maybe
she would be Jordan, you Pippen.
She wears Jordans every single Friday. She has rocking the J's on Fridays. So we make sure that my path was to be here to build that culture and to build all the positivity back into Northeast El Paso and just to be a little beacon of hope and light, especially during these really hard times for the students and for the parents and our surrounding community, because we truly deserve every recognition that any school in El Paso or Texas can have as well. So really proud of where my path has led me to, and I'm just proud to work alongside with Dr. Reyna and all the administration at Parkland Middle School.
I mean, that's beautiful, J.Jones. I mean, she made me super proud to be a teacher, man. There's a lot of stuff you saying and stuff that I'm thinking, and I've been teaching for a year, so this is now my 2nd year. But man, that's the mindset that I'm trying to cultivate and continue to pull inside of myself and find. So I love hearing that, man. I love that. And Dr. Reyna, Jordan, aka MJ.
Well, I mean, my story, it's a little different. So I did not grow up in Northeast El Paso. I did grow up in El Paso. I went to Jefferson High School, which is in South Central El Paso. And I wasn't like a big nerd. I wasn't one of those kids that, this kid's going somewhere. I wasn't in the yearbook other than probably in the basketball group picture and like the mandatory like individual picture. Like, I didn't really excel, all like Ms. Villegas did in school. But, playing basketball was a really big part of my life. It really, I just, when you have coaches that believe in you, then you just feel like you can do anything. And, I still have contact with one of with my freshman basketball coach. I ran into her at a restaurant last year, and we've been talking ever since. And so, just having those people that influence you and coach you, and, they bring a lot to the table, especially when, you feel like you're just an average kid. I was an average kid, like literally wasn't on dean's list. I was just like going to school, making it, trying to get out and see what was going to happen next. And so when I was growing up, my family had a bakery here in El Paso. My dad ran the bakery, and this bakery he owned was called La Hacienda Bakery. And it was in the Lower Valley, and it was right across the street from this little school. And the school was Hacienda Heights Elementary. So when I was little, I used to work in my dad's bakery, and, making the Mexican bread and like the little piggies and the conchas and all that amazing bread that we still love today. I used to make that bread with my dad, and I used to go to work really early with him. My dad used to wake up at 4 every morning to go like literally make the donuts. That was my dad. And so, we didn't have Disneyland vacations. My dad worked. He was cash rich, credit poor. So, we were just making it like day to day. And he ran this little bakery. And, he always told me, you need to get your education. You don't want to be, like me, getting up at 4 a.m. and working 16-hour days. Like, I want more for you and your brother. And so, like I was saying earlier, we grew up in this little house, off Gateway South. Literally the freeway is like the front yard of that house. Like there was nothing to do but be in the house. And so literacy was a really big part of our lives. Like our parents didn't buy us toys, they bought us books. We would just read and read and read. And I used to play school with my little brother and play library. And like, those were just the things that I like to do. And actually, my little brother, he's an attorney, and I tell him that he owes it all to me because he got his doctorate before I did. So I gotta give him props for that. But we literally came from nothing, and it was all about the drive that we had. And I always kept it in my mind, that nobody would ever take away my education, no matter what. They could take your house, your car, the clothes on your back, but they can't take what's in your mind. And so when I started school, like kind of just like Miss Villegas, it's funny. I had a Miss Chavez, my kindergarten teacher was named Miss Chavez. And I know it's like such a similar story. I had this teacher, and she was just amazing. And she noticed that when I came into kindergarten, I already knew how to read. And the reason why was because there was nothing in my house to do but read newspapers and books. So I used to come in, and she used to let me put all the kids on the carpet and read to them during story time. So, I was much more advanced from the other kindergarten students. So they have this big meeting at the end of the year with my mom and my dad, and they say, you know what, she needs to like go straight to second grade. She's already so she doesn't need to go to first grade. It's a waste of her time. So they end up promoting me. So I go from kinder to second grade. So I've always been younger than everyone throughout all my academic career because of that. So I was always the baby. So, kind of growing up, once I got into basketball, that's really where I felt like that was where I needed to be. And I love being part of a team. And when they made me like team leader, to me, I was like a natural born leader. And that's really where the roots of my leadership came from, was being on that basketball team and having the coach have faith in me to lead the team and call plays. I mean, that was everything to me. And so, I graduated, I became a teacher. And so my very first interview was, where would you think? At Hacienda Heights Elementary School, at the school right across the street from my dad's bakery that I've been working at since I was like 7 years old with him. So I interview, and that night they call me and I got the job. And so I start working there, and it's, it just all came full circle that I was working in the same neighborhood, giving back to the same kids that I grew up with. So, my dad ended up selling the bakery and later on passed away. But, I had such ties to that community. And I think that's really where I saw how much one person could have as far as impact to kids and to teachers. And that's really where the roots of like the love for culture came for me. And then I became an assistant principal. So I taught for 4 years and went to be an assistant principal at Bel Air High School in that feeder pattern. And I was there for a few years, and I was at a couple of other schools. And then I went to be an assistant principal at Parkland Middle School, I want to say like 9 years ago. And I ended up staying there for about 8 years. And then went to another school, came back as the principal, and, just always had that love for Parkland. And I just felt like that school could do nothing but go next level. And they just needed someone who could take them there. And, I really tried to build relationships with the teachers. Most of the teachers that are working there, actually, I hired them as an assistant principal. So, so that was really interesting.
Hey,
Hi, say
Yeah,
hi.
what's up?
It's
What's your
me,
name?
it's me.
Caleb.
Caleb?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. I'm Carrie, Caleb.
Okay, get down, honey. This is real life. This happens every
Guest
time.
star. Every
Every
time.
single
Hey man,
time.
he said I'm the star of the show, Mom. Like you need to get me in here. Like
Close the door.
this is what the
Every
world
time I
needs.
get on, you can ask Miss
Caleb.
Villegas. I could have a faculty meeting with 100 people, and this kid steals the show each
Caleb's
time.
like, I'm in here, Ma.
Yeah, he's all about it. So like I was saying, I just really felt like we could build that culture. And I mean, we've just taken off ever since, just, making sure that we consistently take care of teachers. Because to me, it's all about taking care of the teachers. If you take care of the teachers, they'll take care of the kids. And I think sometimes as principals, we're so focused on the kids that we forget about the teachers. And teachers have such an impact on students. And so I've really made it my mission to support my teachers however I can, whether it's with a resource or planning time, or, they need the day off to do this or that. Like, I hate red tape. Like, I just hate it. So I try to remove all the
He's like,
red tape
yes.
so that they can just teach and do what they're supposed to do. And I remember as a teacher, so much red tape. If I wanted to do this, well, this was the process. And it was like this 21-step process. And so I was like, nah, forget it. And so I try to simplify things so that teachers don't have to go through that. And I think really like that's made such an impact on the teachers at our school because, they seem happy. You can tell when you walk into a school, you can tell, what the culture of that school is, within 2-3 minutes, and I'm sure, you've been in several schools, whether it's your own child's school or a school you work in. You walk in and, it's something that you can feel. It's like the mood. It's like Principal Kafele talks about the mood and the climate of a campus. It's like the attitude of a school. And so, I want people when they come into our school that they feel like they're really part of something big. And I mean, I think that it starts with me being the role model for our faculty and our staff, and it trickles down to the kids. And it's hard being a middle school, teacher, principal, staff member, because you're trying to grab these kids' attention, and these kids are like TikToking and Instagramming.
All over the place.
They're all over the place. And I mean, if you can just capture, their engagement for a short period of time, you better do something really good with it, because before you know it, they're on to the next thing. And so that's one of the things that we try to do is we really try to hook our kids and be relevant. And that's why I wear the J's on Friday. And, we do fun things like that because you need to be relevant to the kids that you're serving. And so, we just like, I ask the kids, what are things that you want? I want AirPods. These are the things that the kids want. These are the things that they'll work for. Our kids, they grow up and they're missing a lot. They don't have the things that most kids have. Our kids, they're so blessed. They're spoiled. They get AirPods for Christmas and they get new J's, sometimes 2 pairs. They get the PS5s. Our kids are happy with like Dunkin' Donuts and hot chocolate. Like they're such good kids. And so, just I think what I bring is I just try to bring that culture piece and just want the kids to have a really good middle school experience, because that's like the make it or break it of K-12 is middle school. They can really go down this road and it's not going to be such a good time, or they can have a good experience and head to high school with a good head on their shoulders and some goals. And so and middle school to me is where you can have the biggest effect on kids. So we just want to try to be positive role models. And like Ms. Villegas says, we have our work cut out for us. We really do.
Nah, y'all doing a great job though. I mean, aside from the things you guys have been able to accomplish as far as like awards and things like that, I mean, the things I hear about y'all as far as like the relationships that y'all have built, that is the gold standard, and y'all are holding that standard, with flying colors, man. Great job with that, and that's something that we all aiming to do. And Jay Jones, I'm gonna let him take it from here because we got a couple of things we wanted to dive in with y'all about, a couple of topics we wanted to see what y'all think about, kind of hear you guys' ideas on.
All right, yeah. So the first topic we wrote down is the importance of representation for our youth. So basically, you know, people seeing people of color, people minorities in position of power. How important is that? Or just speak on something like that. I mean, both of y'all are doing great. Like y'all said, y'all story made me want to go back to middle school. So yeah.
Not me, I ain't going back.
I like school though. So I mean,
I love it too.
yeah, it sounds good. But yeah, just seeing people, minorities and especially minorities and women in positions of power. So just speak on something like that or experience that y'all have had, or uh,
Like for me, when I first won, Texas Secondary Teacher of the Year, I was not only proud because, I represent my city and I represent Texas, but I was proud because I'm Hispanic and I was a woman. And we want to influence every race, every gender, whether, the LB, LG, every community out there. We want to make sure that everybody has a voice. And that's one thing that I fulfill within my classroom, is that every single one of my students is allotted a voice, and your voice needs to be heard. And that's one thing that when I won the NEA Teaching for Excellence award, I said that every student is entitled to a voice, no matter what your age was, what your gender, what your ethnicity was, where you grew up, whether you had money or you didn't, that every child needs to be heard, and their wants and their needs. And that is something on top of building that culture, that at our campus, we ensure that all students, whether they are at risk or they're excelling and they're in pre-AP classes, that we want their voice to be known, and we want to know what they want. What are their aspirations? What are their concerns? And I think people of power, Dr. Reyna, she's an amazing principal who invests in her teachers, in her faculty, and the students in the community. But what I love so much about her is that although she is in a position of power, she can understand what we are all going through by showing empathy and showing compassion and being able to put herself within our shoes, within the teacher's shoes, within the student's shoes, and to be able to understand the real issues at hand. And I think right now more than ever, minority students need to know that they can be successful. Because I'm a minority student. I was a Hispanic valedictorian, and when I applied for scholarships, I was proud to check Hispanic on all my scholarship applications. I was proud to be a woman and nonetheless a minority, especially here in El Paso. Parkland Pre-Engineering Middle School has, like I said, we're cut from a different cloth because we are the biggest campus in Northeast El Paso in 79924. So we have 1,400 strong, about 1,400 strong students. We are one of the largest middle schools here in El Paso. And that is incredible because not only do we have the highest minority of students, about 85 to 90% of our students are minorities. So that says a lot about what we bring to the table in terms of what we teach and who we teach, because we have to understand that our students are born into poverty, or our students are struggling financially, or come from poverty, or are homeless, or come from orphanages, or come through, the social work aspect, and they're coming from foster homes. So we have all of that. We have African American, Asian, we have Hispanic, we have Caucasian, and we're so close to Fort Bliss. And so I think that anyone from our campus, they need to know that they're entitled to having a voice. And people of power, I really hope that, one day we're going to have a female president and one of a minority president. I'm so proud of Kamala Harris, for representing women and representing women of color. And that is just so important to me. And I just want, our students to really know. I know Dr. Reyna is big on really inspiring our girls on our campus, to go further in their education. She's Dr. Reyna. I mean, shoot, when I get my doctorate, they better be calling me that at Walgreens. Doctor.
Oh, that's school, man. They better call me that everywhere.
Yeah, wherever I go. I love to make my students, like, we have a thing in our class. I say, when you're proud of something, you better snap those fingers and be like, heck yeah, I did that. And so I create that positivity in my classroom. And when they get a 100 on a test, I don't care who you are, we're celebrating. We have moments to celebrate. So I know Dr. Reyna being Hispanic and her growing up on, South side El Paso, and me growing up in Northeast El Paso, we're proud to be minorities and we're proud to be from El Paso. When people ask us where we're from, we say El Paso, and then, well, where's that? Well, it's in Texas, but we always say El Paso because we're so proud of where we come from. So yes, everybody needs a voice. Our students need a voice. We need to advocate for our students to have a voice. No one should ever be muted. And we always give 110% effort in order to hear everybody's opinions and to value them and to respect them, because that's the first sign of having respect and kindness in classrooms, is to value and really respect and own each other's opinions 100%.
I love that, Michelle. And I love the fact that you said about the respect and when you're representing, like, us being teachers. When I teach at K.Sloan Middle School, just for anybody that didn't know, and the demographics, bro, we're in the lower valley, so it's like the kids that we have, some people will think they're a little rough around the edges and things like that. That's kind of like the stigma. But I love being able to be someone that's like comes to a kid and I give them the opportunity to talk, because some of these kids, they're not used to talking. Like, everybody shuts them up because it's like, oh, you don't have anything good to say, especially outside of this environment. You could tell by the way they interact with you sometimes, and being able to allow them to speak with you and feel like they're equal. And then they kind of see more for themselves, especially young men. They gravitate towards me. It's like, I see them watching my every move. It's like, I got to represent well, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm of color. I'm in a position where they're like, man, you got these nice shoes on, mister. You got the nice shirt. You cleaned up. I may be the only little piece of light he has every day. I don't know what his home situation looks like. So I take it upon myself to always give my best self forward for him to have a chance to be able to say, that could be me. That could be me. Even if I don't feel like I'm up to par all the time or whatever, I don't feel like I can be in the right mental space to give him the right information. So I got to fake it till I make it, even when I'm not feeling like that guy, and I feel like that's important. So I love that you said that. But Dr. Reyna, I'll let you go ahead and talk about that as well with the representation piece, just how important that is, because, I mean, you've done some things and you're in a position where, again, a lot of little girls, it's like, this right here is where you want to be, So how do you see that being, playing a role in your development, and what's your views on that?
Well, as a pre-engineering school, we're really trying to bring more girls into STEM, into those higher paying jobs, the coding, the mathematics, the stigmas that girls don't like math.
He's like, yeah.
This never happens in online learning, ever.
Nah, never, ever.
Never.
No, it goes just as planned.
And then while my dog is having a fit over there in the living room.
Hey man, we like water, man. We're like water. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Just
Sorry
adapt.
about
We
that.
learn to adapt.
Exactly.
No, but like I was saying is, we're really trying to get more girls interested in the hard sciences. And so I remember in 2017, I was still an assistant principal, and that's the year that I got my doctorate. And so I was a presenter there at our campus for International Women's Day. So what happened is they asked some people to come be, guest speakers, and we invited a group of girls. And the girls that we invited were handpicked because they're going through certain situations and they just don't have those female role models. So in speaking with these girls, they started asking me, well, how do you become a doctor? Like, what do you have to do? So we started having those conversations. And so fast forward, before you graduate, you have a hooding ceremony. I graduated from UTEP, so you have a hooding ceremony. And so I thought, well, the best way to show these girls what it's all about is to bring them there. So when I had my hooding ceremony, I asked the dean for special permission to give me the whole front row for a group of girls that I felt really needed to be there and see this and kind of, be there to celebrate with me and be in the moment. And so, the dean at the time thought it was a great idea. And so, took all the VIPs out and brought the Parkland Middle girls, and they
Real
became
VIPs.
VIPs.
That's cool.
And so it was really cool because, the parents brought them over to McGoffin Theater, and, they were a little intimidated because some of the parents didn't speak English and they've never been to a university. They were a little timid. They're like, we'll be in the back. And I'm like, no, I want the girls sitting up here. So the girls sat in the front and they watched the whole ceremony. And at the very end, I talked to the girls, we took a picture, and they were just like, oh my God, like, I want to do this one day. Like, this is going to be me. And so I've had contact with some of the parents, and they're like, they still, my daughter still remembers when you invited her to UTEP and she sat in that front row. She would have never had this experience had you not made it happen. And she still has it in her mind. They're in high school now, but they want to get doctorates because they know they can, because there's someone in their circle that's been there, done that. And, statistics tell us that less than 2% of the nation has a doctorate. It's something very rare. And then for a woman, it's even less. It's 1.2%. And then to be a Hispanic woman, it's probably even less than that. So, you talk about having the odds stacked against you, as far as the gender gap. I mean, this is it. And so, it's really important to me to make sure that when I'm up there representing, or when I walk the halls, or whenever I have an interaction with the child or their family, that, I'm always representing the best self of me, because I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes. But I want the kids to see, the real me, and that I'm a real person. Sometimes they'll see me at like Target and they're like, oh, Dr. Reyna like buys milk. And I'm like, like, we're real people,
We're real humans.
Yeah, we eat, and we buy toilet paper like everybody else. And so, we just try to be real with the kids. And, like Ms. Vegas was saying, being in the Northeast El Paso, that is where we have the majority of African Americans do live in the Northeast, and primarily it's always been like that. I mean, since I was little, right? The schools that they went to that were around there had a higher percentage of African American. But to me, it's like, they're like diamonds in the rough. Some of these kids, are making straight A's. They have these big dreams and goals, and all they need is one person to believe in them. And they come from such hard lives. I mean, their parents have been, gone through a lot, they're murdered. Some of their parents are in jail. And so they need a lot of nurturing and a lot of care. And so that's what we're there to do, is to provide that. And I mean, some of our kids now, they're at MIT and they're at UTEP and they're at UT, and then they come back. And, Dion Hankins is one of our kids. We all know Dion Hankins,
Dion.
I mean, you know the story of Aaron Jones, went to Burgess High School. He still comes back and, he's still involved in the community, and, Khalid and all these people that, have made an impact outside of El Paso come back to serve. And that's what we're here to do. It all comes full circle. And, I have such respect for Dion, because Dion could have gone anywhere. And he chose to stay in El Paso, and he comes back and he talks to our kids about how important it is, to be, whether you're African American or Hispanic, you come from a certain area, that, you can achieve great things. And the kids see him, like they see someone who walked those halls, and they know that it's possible for them, because it's easy for you to see an Emmett Smith or, someone who, the Rock, Samoan, you see someone who makes it, but you don't have any relevance to them. Those are not real people to you. And, we are real people to our kids. So, I think we're just always trying to achieve greater things so that our kids have someone to look up to. So, yeah, we love Dion and our kids. He's just amazing.
He plays running back over at UTEP, J.Jones.
Yeah.
He plays running
Oh,
back.
okay. Yeah, I know Aaron Jones. That's the one is that the one you were telling me about? That.
Yeah, probably so. The one he rushed for like 100 yards, like his first freshman game there at
Yeah.
UTEP. Yeah, he's really
You were
good.
saying he was gonna run over the Longhorns.
Amazing. Oh my God. And he has such, faith, and, gives all glory to God. And he's just so humble, and that's so important. He's just all about family and giving back to the community. And I mean, man, he would be such a great guest, for your podcast.
Hey, Dion, if you checking it out, we need you on the podcast
We
now.
need you.
Dr. Reyna shouted you out, so that's the gold standard. You got it.
Gotta get you.
We have another one up and coming. He's not even a junior yet at Parkland High School. His name's Tyrone McDuffie. Okay. He was already invited to the national. He was picked as a national player, not even being a junior yet. So, I mean, he is. I'm like, hey, Tyrone, save me the NFL tickets.
There you go.
Remember who your math teacher was, who taught you how to take care of your bread. So, who taught you how to pay back those student loans. So
he definitely gonna remember for sure.
So we are proud. I mean, these are kids that came from the Parkland learning community, and man, I cannot wait. Dion Hankins is so humble, so amazing. He's so great with the kids. He comes and he talks and he gets on their level. He shakes their hands. I mean, he remembers where he came from. And Mr. McDuffie, Tyrone, I mean, he's already past 200 pounds. He's past 6 feet. He's a big old kid. And he walks down the hallway. Yeah. He walks down the hallways. 200 pounds. It's a little scary. I mean, I'm 5'3" and I'm like, hey,
where's your hall pass?
Yeah. He is someone else that is really inspirational, because I was so blessed to have him as one of my students, because he was so humble. He actually spoke to our faculty. I think like 2 years ago, he opened up for our faculty at August PD, and he talked about inspiring and who inspired. And, he talked about Dr. Reyna, he talked about me. And, I was there a hot mess. Like we say, it's the hot mess express. I was crying and, but it's the best feeling in the world. And I know you're like a first year teacher, but you're going to have that one moment and it's going to keep on happening. You're going to have that moment of like, man, this is why I do it. I mean, I might be crying at night, stressed out, but this is why I teach. And I think that is so important for educators all over the nation, all over the world, is to know their why of why they teach. And when I hear his story and I hear my students come back and just say, hey, I really love math now because of you, or you hear Tyrone talk, or you hear Dion talk. I mean, it's so inspirational for yourself as an adult, because it gives you that fuel to keep on going. I mean, teaching's hard right now. I mean, it's tough. Being an administrator is tough during a pandemic. And man, to hear these kids be so successful and to thank you at the end of what they say,
makes it all worth
I mean, the waterworks will start flowing, but it makes you grateful in your heart. It makes it worth it every single day. It makes you wake up in the morning and be grateful to show up to work.
And that's what it's all about. You know, if you want the honest truth about anything, ask a kid. They'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
They'll
Oh
tell
my
you
God.
if you
for
look a
real.
hot mess. They tell
Yeah.
you if why aren't you wearing mascara today? They'll tell you, oh, Dr. Reyna, your eyebrows look fleek today. They notice every little thing. And if they're bored, they'll tell you. And if
Yep.
they don't like what's going on in their school, they'll tell me. They will tell me. They will stop me in the hall and tell me why we got to do this. Why is this like this? And then I'll tell them, well, what do you want to see? I mean, you know, like ask a kid. If you could run the school, what would you do? And you'd be
Right.
surprised some of the ideas that these kids have. And so, you know, we really need to open up more to our kids and give them an opportunity, like Ms. Villegas says, to have voice, because we're the adults and of course we have structure and we run things, but truly we're there to serve them. They're our customers. The parents, of course, you know, we love our parents, but they are not our customers. The customers are the kids. So what can we do to better this experience for you? Because before you know it, they're gone. 3 years, they're gone.
That's
Happened
true.
so fast.
It's,
Happened
it's
so
it's
fast.
it's quick, man. It's quick. And
Nah,
then
but
go
I
ahead,
was
go
gonna say
ahead.
no. I was just gonna say about the exposure thing. That's huge because I was those kids when I was younger, and I didn't even think about college. And none of my parents, I don't know anybody in my family who went to college. So just seeing like uh, older, my brother, you know, his friends, and then they played football, and they signed scholarships to go to college. I just thought they went to play football. I didn't think about the school side of it. So like being exposed and seeing somebody like y'all said, the guys who come back and walk the halls and they see, hey, I went here and I did this. That's huge for kids because I didn't think about college until I, you know, played football, and then when I signed my scholarship and everything, then I was like, oh man. So now I go back to my high school and I speak to the kids just to let them know, hey, football is cool, but you know, the education comes with it. You have to go to school, you still have to pass classes, you know, and you can get a degree. You know,
Yep.
it's not just football. You walk out of that school with 4 years of football or 5 years of football, and you walk out with a degree. That's the important part. So exposure is huge, man. It's huge.
And I want to add to that. Is my thing? Hello. All right. It was echoing for a second, but no, like I noticed as well, like with my own daughter, you know, just the modeling what they see. Like when the kids they see something and they literally just mimic it to the T, and it's like when I can identify with it, the model is so much stronger for me. You know, it's something that I can really say like I could take this, and I am for sure gonna be what I see my cousin being, or what I see my classmate being, or somebody that looks like literally like he looks just like me. I could be that. Okay, well, let me go home and try to do some research and figure out, or maybe let me hook up with this person as a mentor or things like that. Just being able to give those kids that hard, like, yes, you can be this. This person looks like you. This person comes from your background. You could be that person. I think that's like the most powerful. That right there is the epicenter of it. That's what we want to be able to provide for our youth. So I love that. But Mr. Self Care himself has some self care questions for y'all.
No, well, you know, with the holidays, I guess we're done with the Christmas holidays, but with the New Year coming,
New Year
everybody has their New Year's resolution. And y'all
2021.
talk about how, you know, I know how I can't say tough because you know, like I said, it's bittersweet, you know, teaching this year. It's just different. So, you know, with the pressure and everything, what's some self-care ideas? What do you guys use when you get home from a hard day, work or school, and you know, the kids are kind of stressing you out, the job kind of stressing you out. What do you do when you get home on those days?
And when he says get home, he means log off for you.
Oh, log off. I'm sorry.
Miss
Forgot.
Villegas, when you log
Look,
off.
look. I went to school. I went to school back in the day when we went to school. So
We actually went to school back in the day.
Man, 2020 is gonna go down in history books, and we're gonna be like the year we gained 15 pounds at home and
Ooh,
stretching plans for a full year.
ooh.
yeah.
To me, my self care is silence.
Mm.
I love me a good hour of just sitting in pure silence. I don't even like, I've watched less TV during this time. This is the most TV I've watched during Christmas holiday, but this is the least amount of TV and like cell phone kind of, you know, that I've really been connected, except for TikTok. TikTok's really addictive. But I like silence. I think right now more than ever, teachers need so much self-care, whether it's reading a book or just sitting in a bubble bath or, you know, spending time with their family. One thing is silence for me, and another thing is cycling. I do indoor cycling. I have my bike behind me, and I just get on that thing and ride every single amount of stress. Every mile, I'm like, great.
You got a Peloton? You got a Peloton over there? Is that what that is? Is that Peloton?
Yeah, no, I do. It's indoor cycling with Rush Cycle, but I brought the bike home because I had 2 recent surgeries, which overcame those and we're good. But I think the really important things for myself is just taking some me time, because I mean, when we first started online teaching in March, I was on my computer probably from 6:45 in the morning all the way to 1 or 2 in the morning that day. I mean, getting acquainted and getting your bearings. And now that we've kind of got more of a routine and a schedule, it's 5:30 and my computer is shut. Like, that's it, you know, because I say, no, I need time for me. I need to take care of myself. I need to invest in myself. Dr. Reyna is the #1 person in investing in her teachers. But most importantly, we need to invest in ourselves. So it's really important to take care of yourself and to take a time out when you need a time out, and just really listen to your body and listen to your mind and your heart. And when you're tired, you just need to take a time out sometimes. And it's difficult sometimes to take a time out, you know, especially when I have my own son and, you know, being a wife and, you know, the Amazon person is ringing the doorbell all the time. I order a lot of Amazon. No. So it's really, sometimes it's hard, but, you know, just taking time for yourself, enjoying the weekends, like stop the work on the weekends. And so all the teachers out there, you too, first year teacher, stop working on the weekend. You need to disconnect for a little bit and take care of yourself. So that's me. I know Dr. Reyna, she's a principal, so I need to hear.
Yeah, we need to all hear Dr. Reyna. She's still smiling, so she gotta speak it.
Let's see. I guess some of the things that I'm doing right now. So on the side, a side hustle, I mentor PhD students, so who are going through their dissertation process, and so one of the students actually that I've hooked up with is my former kindergarten teacher, Miss Chavez. Y'all remember Miss Chavez?
Yeah.
So she was a teacher and I was a student. Now the roles have reversed. She is the PhD student and I am the teacher. So
full circle.
Yeah, so it really did come full circle with her. UTEP actually did a really great story on us. I need to send you the link to that. But they did a story on, you know, kind of how it all came together, and so so she's going through her dissertation process, and I have a couple of other students who I help them edit their dissertations and just give them advice, and so I work with them kind of on the side, and then I also want to get back into writing. I haven't really written anything since. Well, I want to say since my dissertation, but I did write a couple of essays for my state teacher of the year application. So I do want to start writing again to submit to journal articles and kind of get back in that scholarly mode that I used to be in. And then other than that, I've really gone back into fitness. So I have a personal trainer and I've been working out for, this is my 6th week. So just every day going to the gym. Oh, it's week 7. Okay. Every day going to the gym and as much as possible, you know, trying to get those gains and trying to just, you know, kind of like Ms. Villegas says, like, I want to be the best version of me so that I can give the best version of myself to, you know, my family and, you know, my employees there at my school. And so I know I don't want to feel sluggish. You know, I don't want to feel like I gained the COVID-19. Thank God I didn't. But, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, I get those endorphins going and, you know, because it's all about, you know, your mental state. And, you know, we've all gone through, you know, COVID's hit all of us in one way or another.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, my older son's dad actually passed from COVID in October, so it was really hard on our family. And it's been a struggle. It's been a private struggle, but I have shared those struggles with my faculty and staff, because I want them to know that, I'm the principal and they're the teacher, but at the end of the day, like, we're all people and it's hit us all the same. And so, I've done my share of crying in front of my staff. And sometimes, I think it's okay. They need to see that, we're all human beings, and they've been amazing and supportive. And I couldn't have asked for a better faculty. But, just trying to get better. Like, I want to be better because I know that we're doing great things now. But I think COVID, if it's anything, it's going to be a blessing in disguise to education, because I think it's really catapulted us to be more innovative. And this is the time for us to try new things. And so I'm always like thinking, like, what is something new that we can bring that we weren't able to do before? And so the only way for me to kind of keep my mind where it needs to be is to make sure that, like, my mind and my body are like where they need to be. So that's something that I've really been investing in, is just myself. And I think yesterday was the first time I opened my laptop in days. It was really nice. It was really nice
Yep.
because, yeah, I know, we're going to hit the ground running in spring, and there's a lot coming down the pipes. And, there's a lot of stress and expectation, and people have anxiety, and they're looking to me to make them feel safe. And so, it's just making sure that I'm good to go when the teachers come back. So those are kind of things that I've been kind of working on.
I love that. I love that. Well, Jay Jones, what you doing for some self-care, Mr. Self-care himself?
Oh man,
This,
lately here, been
this is the
traveling.
guy.
Travel. That's kind of weird. But a lot of things they said. I read books, but I went to Houston to see my family, Beaumont, Houston. I ended up at the casino. Um, I ended up at the Cowboys game on Sunday. Um, I just when we have breaks from work, I work in mental health. So when I have a break from work, I take a
Taking that
break.
break.
I take a break, like for real. My phone's on the other side of the room. I'm laying down, meditating, anything. I just kind of break away from, like Michelle said, an hour or two. I break away from people. Carrie's seen me before. He used to say I lay under a rock. He's like, this guy could. I don't
He's
need anything
Patrick.
around me.
Patrick from
He calls me
SpongeBob.
Patrick from SpongeBob because I lift my rock up. I'm like, all right, I'm back. So yeah, I just try to keep my mental really really good because working in mental health, you give a lot. You have to give a lot. You take everybody's problems in and you try to give them advice, and like y'all say, you see growth in people, and some people you don't see any growth, and you're like, I'm trying to help you, want to help you, I want to help you, I want to help you, but can't help somebody who don't want to be helped. So yeah, I do a lot of things. I even turned my PlayStation 4 on the other day. I ain't did that in 2 months. So I just try to take when I do have time to take care of myself, traveling, reading, anything really. Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's been growing his beard.
He's been growing his beard
I've
out. That's
been.
his
I have a
self-care.
beard. I have a beard kit. I have a beard kit now. That's one thing. I take care of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, less phone, more just activity. Really, less technology, more activity.
See, I've been trying to get into nature a little bit. Like I've been trying to get into like the whole like sitting outside and getting that silence Michelle was talking about, like just like no noise, which is kind of hard at times, because we live in like more urban areas. Because El Paso, you got the road, you gonna hear some cars or whatever. But I try to get out to some nature and just like find some peace and just my silence and just being out there because um I think it's important that we listen to our inner self, man. Like any way we can find more of who we are deep down, I think we give out more to the people that we care about and the people that we're trying to help. So that's like my constant search, man. I'm trying to find more ways to express myself. I have been writing as well, Dr. Reyna. I've been writing a little bit. So I've been trying to, just just figure out things I used to always love to do and do those in my spare time with this break.
Mhm.
Because when we get back, then I want to be able to get these kids more than I gave them already. I mean, I don't really know what that looks like, but we got to be figuring it out. We got to be innovative. We are pioneers. We are
Pioneers.
pioneers. So
Y'all doing great. Y'all are doing great.
we are pioneers. So
I do have a question with self care kind of sort of, because like I said, it is the New Year is what, 2 days? In 2 days, yeah. Whew.
tomorrow, New Year's Eve.
Tomorrow is Eve, yeah. So
Yeah.
New Year's resolution. You can just give me 1, 2, 3. You have a big one, a small
It's
one.
a 1, 2, 3.
You have, stepping stones towards something. Like, what's a goal? What's a New Year's resolution? Because I want you. This will be on YouTube, and you can go back in 2022, and you can look at what you said.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's keeping us accountable.
That's exactly what that is.
I think maybe we could do this. I could do one, and then Dr. Reyna can do one, and then we'll have another one to
Okay.
give us some time to think. So my first resolution, I think I'm gonna do it teacher-wise first.
Mhm.
I think my first resolution is, because I've always been super outside of the box, very like unorthodox. I've always been that one teacher is like super loud down the hallway. I want, one of my resolutions is I want to allow the students more choices, and I want to allow the students to drive their education a lot more this year in 2021, because I have seen I've gotten a little taste of it, and I love what I see. And I want my students to grow in more than just their education. I want them to grow in their confidence as well. So I want them to be like a driving force of what we're doing in the classroom, like giving me ideas and accepting them, and taking more risks than what I already take, just because I love what I see in my class virtually. And I said, whoa, I could have been doing this all my 13 years. And I love it. And it ignites like this fire inside me. And once something's ignited, like it doesn't go out. So I want it. If I see it and I can feel it, I want it to happen. So I really want, my students to just take full gear and drive the bus and drive the car into the end of 2021 of this school year, and just have them really feel successful because they did it on their terms. So especially that we're going to be a blended learning campus coming in 2021, 2022. So yeah, I want our kids to take the wheel. Like I always say, Jesus needs to take the wheel, but now I want my kids to take the wheel and,
Right.
have power and have them feel what power feels like and what it tastes like. So that way they know that they can do big things when they get older. So that's one.
Okay, so let's see. And I typically don't do New Year's resolutions, but I think this year is really special. Let's see. Well, I think I'm going to try to so I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this organization. It's called Leaders in Heels. And so I actually run the El Paso chapter for Leaders in Heels. A lot of people don't know that about me. And so I really haven't put a lot of attention or effort into it. And so the whole point of Leaders in Heels, and you can look it up, it's a national organization, and I have oversee the El Paso affiliate, is to grow more female leaders in our city. And so I think I'm going to kind of take a little nosedive and start giving that the attention it deserves and start growing more female leaders. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. I think sometimes women just need that push. Sometimes we're in situations and we're always worried about everybody else, our husbands, our kids, our parents, and we never really focus on us. And so I think that's something that I would like to do, is to put a little bit more of myself into that project. And then I think the other thing is to continue to grow what we're doing, at our school. There's just so much potential. There are a lot of teachers on our campus that I see these sparks in as future principals, because I'm not going to be doing this forever. I mean, eventually I'm going to move on to something else, and like growing the next generation of leaders will, someone believed in me and gave me a chance and grew me. And so, there's a couple of people that I want to kind of tap into and start mentoring. And I really think that, they can do what I do and do it even better, and, we have such challenges. Mr. Sloan's like, Mr. Sloan, you can't join my Leaders in Heels, but I can.
Oh man, nah, I was talking about Miss Villegas, man. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. I ain't got no heels. I ain't got no heels.
But I think just trying to grow others. Of course I want to grow myself and continue to grow professionally. There's a lot that I want to accomplish, and I have long-term goals, and that's all good and fine. But I think right now, I enjoy what I'm doing, and I want other people to see how great it is to be a school leader. And I know when we talked a little bit, I talked to you a little bit about how, teachers are still scared to get called to the principal's office, and I don't want to be that person. Like I think it's okay for there to be a little bit of fear, but not that much. Yeah. I think that's okay, but it's more, I want the relationship between principal and teachers to really change. It's not what it used to. The kids that we had in our classrooms 5 years ago are not the kids that we have now.
Totally
The
different.
teachers that we had in classrooms 5 years ago are not the teachers that we have now. So I think we really need to adapt and look at that relationship between school administrators and teachers. And we really need to put more faith in what teachers can do, because I think they've clearly shown that they can overcome and they can adapt. I mean, look at what they've done this past year. So I'm really interested in, growing my teachers and, growing others. I think that's just, I love to serve, and that's what I want to do, is just make an impact on as many people as possible, because one day I'm going to retire, and, that's, what are you going to leave as your legacy? I mean, it's great to be wonderful, and, Ms. Villegas, she's being Texas Teacher of the Year, but eventually all that hoopla goes away. And then what did you really, what did you leave? What did you leave at your school? What did you leave within your kids? And so that's really like the big goal down the line. Like, that's what I'm looking at.
Absolutely.
But that's what I'm thinking. So I guess I'll come back in 2022 and see if Jarrell, if I did all that I said I would.
Jarrell gonna hold you accountable now. That's Mr.
He
Self-Care.
is.
He got you. He got you.
Got my eye on you.
But man, so I got a question for the both of y'all before I let y'all go. Because J.Jones, we'd have had them for a good amount of time. These some busy ladies, we appreciate y'all coming and sharing time with us. But I guess I want to start with this one piece of advice you would have for a parent with a student, and you guys are parents as well. All right, the both of you are parents. So one piece of advice we have for a parent of a student going through this pandemic, going through this time, this virtual environment, how tough it's been on everybody is no secret. What would you guys say from the side of, because I know that sometimes parents, they just kind of throw their hands up at times. They don't know what to do. We all been in that situation. We don't know what to do. So what would be your piece of advice coming from your standpoint?
So I think the number one thing for parents is, right now being a parent is really difficult, because not only did you become part of the education system yourself, but you are also, for some of them, they're working parents, or they gave up their jobs in order to fulfill their child's education. But the one piece of advice that I give to parents everywhere is to never give up on your child. And although education might be hard at home, just believe in your child. I think that's the number one thing that I really feel is missing from a lot of our middle school students, is they say, well, my parents don't believe in me as much as I wish that they would. And I I just would love for all our parents out there is to just encourage them, no matter how hard it gets, to believe in them and to love them unconditionally. And number one on the list is take the opportunity to build a stronger relationship with your child during this time, because what a blessing in disguise is that COVID took a safe haven of school and took it away from your child, and that was the place where they felt the most safe. And we have to give it, reality is that not every child has a loving home, and not every child has a good home to go to. But those parents that are there for their child, maybe they're not there during the day for the school, but when they get home is just, I always say that the biggest question for teachers, for parents, and I actually was a keynote speaker for our parent involvement and engagement convention that we had in Isleta ISD, is the number one question is to ask, how are you doing? That's such a powerful question. 4 words, how are you doing? And you would be surprised if you just take the time to listen to your child and love your child and listen to your child, is to know what they are going through. And that connects into mental health, into your emotional state, into how you're going to develop as an adult. Because if you feel that your parents care for you and love you, then you're going to love the people around you. So that's the number one thing. And yeah, try to teach them the algebra and the calculus and the history. Try to do your best. Parents, it's hard. I am a parent and it is difficult, but every single day, ask your child, how are they doing? Are they okay? And love them, encourage them, and just believe in them. I think that's the best advice that I could give during COVID, during a pandemic, because that will kind of put everything into perspective. If your child knows that you love them, they're going to do amazing, amazing things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dr. Reyna?
Dr. Ray?
Well, I think, Ms. Villegas is right. A lot of us that have been in schools, we've also been teachers. I know I've been a kindergarten teacher here for the past few months. Oh my God, those people are going to heaven. Like, it is so difficult. But what a blessing, like she says, for me to have been involved in literally been in my child's classroom each and every day to see what he is going through, within his first year of school. And it's hard because, we're trying to run faculty meetings of over 100 people and make sure my son has his Santa poem for stations in like 5 minutes. Like, it's a lot of stress on parents. And I don't think sometimes we take the time to appreciate how much parents are trying to do. And, at the end of the day, if it's going to be between checking to see if your kid has the Santa poem or going to work to buy groceries, you're going to go to work to buy groceries. And that's just the way it is. And so, I think parents have it hard enough. If it's hard for us professionals who work in schools and are educators, I can just imagine for people who are not. But I think for me, the things that we need to do, and I know this because as I do walkthroughs in my teachers' classrooms and I talk to kids, it's just to celebrate every little thing you can, like anything. You know what? Your kid didn't do any work today, but he logged into every single class. Yes, he just sat there, but hey, he
Small win.
logged in, and that's half the battle. And let's celebrate that he logged in, and let's encourage him tomorrow to maybe do some work in 2 classes. And then maybe he'll do that, and we'll encourage him and we'll tell him good job and give him a high five, because fact of the matter is we're not there to high five them and give them the fist bumps that they're used to, right? And so imagine what these kids are going to come back to us like. I mean, I don't think we understand the gravity of the situation of the mental health of these kids. And yeah, some kids will be fine. Some kids, my kid will probably be fine. He's kinder. He don't know better. But think about these teenagers who have been isolated and, missing that human connection and, have contemplated suicide, and they're coming back to us, and we need to receive these kids. We're going to have to, celebrate every little thing that we see that they do that's positive, because a lot of them are missing that. So, if parents can do anything, it's to, again, celebrate. Like, it's all about celebration. And I do that with my teachers. if I have a teacher who logs into the faculty meeting, the very first teacher who comes in, I'm always like, thank you for being the first one here. You're awesome. You're on time. You're before everyone. I give them that little encouragement, and they get this smile. And these are 30 and 40-year-old people,
Right,
50,
but
60
still,
year old people. I mean, can you imagine if we would just welcome, or thank our kids for the little things that they do? Yeah, they didn't get all work in for all 6 classes, but you know what they did for 5? Well, you know what? Celebrate them for the things that they're doing. And I don't think as parents, we always look at what they didn't do. And sometimes I think as educators, we look at what the kids didn't do. We focus our energy, the 80% is on, you didn't do this. But what about the things that they did do? And we just need to kind of turn it around and focus. And, it works the same with adults. And so I think we just really need to, we need to be like the kids say, like they'll tell me, "Hi, Dr. Anna, stop being so extra." Well, because I am about everything. Like I'm super extra. Like don't come at me because I will bring it. And
yeah.
like don't bluff me because you think I won't do it. I will sit next to you every day if I need to, and be your hot date to math. Like they think I won't do it. And so, one of the things is the kids just need someone in their corner. And so that's what I would encourage. And, parents don't have to spend 6 hours sitting next to their kid, but it'd be neat if they started the day with them and ended the day with them, even just that. And if they see them for lunch, pump them up during that 30-minute lunch break so they have a great afternoon. And, ask them, how did school go today? What did you learn? You'd be surprised. These teachers are doing these amazing lessons. I'm just blown away by, I see my teachers planning and I'm just like, they just wow me. Like sometimes I just stop them and I just say, like, you guys are just like wowing the heck out of me. Like, how did you even put this together? And they're just so innovative and they just love it. They love the kids and they haven't even met these kids in person and they love them like they're their own kids. So, it's tough and we're going to get back eventually where we were, and it's going to take us some time. Do we have regression? Yes, we have regression academically. We have regression mentally. I can tell you that there's been regression with our teacher professional growth to some point. Yeah, they learned how to do this and that with Zoom and with Google Meet. But
Mhm.
I haven't had them there with me. They haven't been together, having that rapport face to face. They haven't been eating lunch together. All those things are really important to people, whether you're in education or you work in a factory or, you need that human connection. So, I just think we need to be ready because I think we have our work cut out for us. But it's the best job. I couldn't ask for anything better. But, you got to give it up to the parents. The parents are trying. The parents that I've talked to, and you know what? I had a parent tell me a couple weeks ago, just give them the 0. Just give them the 0, like I'm done. And it's like, once you talk to that parent, like they're going through some pretty hard stuff. I've
Right,
had
right.
a few of my kids, actually, this is a really sad story, but just to tell you like the gravity of the situation, I had a student who was in an English class and the teacher called me and said that the student private messaged the teacher. She lives with her grandma. Her grandma died of COVID in the next room while she was logged into her English class.
Mm,
Like, this is what these kids are going through. Like, like, I've had parents die of heart attacks because of stress. I've had parents lose their job. We've had, we just had one of our students lose her older brother who he was murdered. He was a Parkland High School student and he was murdered. They found his body a couple weeks ago. His little sister goes to our school. These kids are dealing with a lot of trauma. And so we just really need to be prepared to receive these kids. Not only that, but we have to be prepared to help the parents as well. So, and then we have a lot of work to do, but if anyone can do it, I know these teachers can.
yeah, we got it, man. We got it. And I appreciate y'all, man, for being in it, knowing what you guys are doing, listening to the both of you speak. It's like J. Jones. I wish this was my principal and my teacher when I was in school. You
I
know what I
told
mean?
you I wanted to go back to middle school, man.
I think I'm ready to go back now. I think now I'm
Ready
ready
to
to
go
go ahead and time.
back.
But no, man, really seriously, in all seriousness, it's a blessing. Being able to have you guys grace our platform and just kind of share some information that some people outside of education may not know about. Some of these things are we're always concerned about the kids. It's always when people ask me things, sometimes I say my kids. I don't have 100 something kids, but they're my kids in my mind. You know what I mean? Like I love these kids. I care about these kids, and I feel that in you guys, and that's why I chose the profession, man. And Jay Jones, I know as far as with all of this, the positive reinforcement is something that we always learned when I worked in mental health. Is just kind of being able to positively reinforce people is always going to be the most powerful than the negative. So I love that you said that, Dr. Reyna. But it's been beautiful. Thank you guys. And
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
yeah, Jay Jones, you got any words for him?
thank you. No,
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
no, y'all, yeah, y'all taught me a lot, and man, I really appreciate y'all. Appreciate what y'all are doing. I know I couldn't, so
Hey,
y'all
man.
doing big things.
Well, I personally, I know we would both like to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity to talk on this platform because, we love for our story to be heard and we love to have our story out there and represent Northeast El Paso. We're the heart of the Northeast, but we'd like to thank the both of you. And Carrie, I would personally like to thank you because you represent 2% of male African American teachers in all of the nation. So you are 2%, and many, many, many students need to have African American male teachers in their lives. And so I thank you for that. Thank you for choosing education. It's not an easy field to go into, but I personally would like to thank you and thank you for advocating, Jarrell, for us and for teachers because your stories, whether you think it or not, is so inspiring to other young individuals. And, the people that you helped, Jarrell, and everything, like it's so important to really get your voice out there. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate you and we can't wait to see it. I'm so excited.
It'll be out soon. It'll be out soon. Give us at least a week. Give us a list.
For real.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for having us. I mean, just for even showcasing, the things that we do on the daily in our school. We're always looking to put our school on the map, and our school definitely is on the map. I have such a wide network now of educators through Twitter. I mean, I could have never imagined thousands of people, that I network with each and every day. I have so many private messages from principals asking me, for guidance or, I saw you did this or that was so cool about this. And then I see something on their page and, it's all about building that network. And, the internet has given us that gift of really having, outside of the four walls of our building, just expanding the network so that we can continue to learn and to serve our kids. And in the end, that's what it matters. It's all about the kids. And so thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Man, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. And we are out. Y'all be blessed.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. I'm